English literature is broken down into 2 exam papers. Paper 1, Shakespeare and the 19th century novel, and Paper 2, modern text and poetry. In Paper 1, you have 1 hour and 45 minutes to complete 2 questions. The first question is Shakespeare, therefore you need to find your question first. And with both of the questions in Paper 1, you have this extract within the box in order to help you to begin your answer. So you will always be given the question, which is broken down into 2 parts. So the first thing you need to do, which sounds really obvious, but it's very important that you do it first, is to read the question. So the question will give you the focus that you need to look at. So for example, this one asks you to look at how Lord Capulet is presented in the extract. So it should be a person or a theme that's presented in the extract. And then also you need to look at how that focus is then presented in the play as a whole as well. You are given 1 mark for both of those things, and so the examiner isn't going to be trying to evaluate how much of the extract you've analysed and how much of the wider text you've analysed. They take the whole of your answer and give it a mark out of 30. It's very sensible to divide it up, obviously, but it is absolutely fine to have a greater focus on either the extract or the novel or the text, as long as you've covered both in your whole answer. So the first thing you need to do then, like I said, is read the question. Second thing you need to do is to read the extract, and whilst you're reading it, annotate it for meaning. So just general annotations about what you can understand from it, what you could draw from it. Obviously you will recognise it, so that it's there to help you, to focus you when you first start answering your question. Then what you need to do is choose 3 quotes that you feel that you could explain in depth. And it might be that you find that you can only really choose 2, because you might find that the amount that you write means that in order for you to be able to talk about the extract, the wider text, that you need to cut down your analysis of the extract. That's absolutely fine. So 2 or 3 quotes we're expecting you to analyse from the extract. So find those quotes. Make sure that you are quite thorough in your choosing of those quotes. Make sure that they are quotes that you can unpick in detail, that you are explaining how the writer has used it to their benefit, and the effect of the method. So for example, if you've picked out a short sentence, explain what the impact of that short sentence is, or if it's a particular verb that's interesting, you know, why. We are looking for you to analyse and unpick as much as you can. So once you've chosen your 3 quotes, you could choose your three quotes, but then perhaps possibly only write about 2, depending on how much that you write. Once you've done that, you then need to think about choosing 2 or 3 areas So you need to choose 2 or 3 areas of the text that you want to discuss further. So for example, if this question is asking us about Lord Capulet, you need to think of 2 or 3 other times in the play when Lord Capulet is talking or when he's doing something which would be beneficial for you to explore. So you need to think about those areas and draw from it 2 or 3 quotes. And then you're simply explaining those quotes as well. So you should find that overall then, your answer, you should have 2 or 3 quotes that you have analysed from the extract, and that should complete the first half of the bullet point in the exam question. And then 2 or 3 quotes from the text as a whole, so from the wider text. And that would make up then your answer. So you're looking to write roughly 2 to 3 sides of A4 for this question. So each quote, it's more important that you analyse the quotes in depth than the amount of quotes that you use. So the exam board is looking for your response to the task and your response to the text. Looking for your references or your quotes. If you can't remember a quote, it's absolutely fine to reference it as long as you're analysing the idea in detail and depth. They're looking for the writer's methods and your understanding of the writer's methods. Why have they used that particular verb? Why have they used that particular simile? Or why is the punctuation like that there? Why is the structure of the text like this? And also context. So it can mean the time period or things relating to the time period and people and their roles in society, or how a particular thing is presented at that time. Once you're comfortable with your plan, and you have some quotes that you have chosen from the extract, and you also have quotes from the play as a whole, then it's time to start writing. But it's really important that you do your plan first, because then you'll know exactly where you're going with it. So the important thing is to make sure that you constantly refer to the writer or the author, depending on which question you're doing. But obviously with the Shakespeare section, it's Shakespeare. So yeah, make sure that you refer to the writer a lot, because it shows that you understand that there is a method that's been consciously crafted, and that you can appreciate the text. So I've got here, Shakespeare uses Lord Capulet to demonstrate his power in the play. Once you've got your quote, make sure that you explain overall what the quote's trying to say, but then also, then you need to unpick it further. So you're looking to then draw out other words from that quote. So say, for example, here I have, my child is yet a stranger in the world. I haven't finished this paragraph yet because I don't have the room, but I would unpick my, because I would be talking about how in this situation, Lord Capulet, like many males of the time and many fathers, feels as though he owns his child, and she's a possession and an object that he feels that he can give to somebody else. But at the same time, he's being quite protective of her, and he doesn't want her to marry straight away, because he's saying that she's too young. And also I would then unpick the word stranger. I would also talk about the context, like I've talked about really, but I would go into more detail there. So make sure that you really, really unpick as much as you can. And if you get to the point where you maybe only have 2 quotes that you've used from the extract and you don't have much time left, obviously choose something from the play as a whole, but you won't be penalised. You won't have marks taken off you if it's not an quite an equal balance. As long as you have covered something from the play as a whole, and it's it's a quality point, then that's absolutely fine. Section B should be approached in exactly the same way. So in a sense, you could think about it as though you're being asked to do exactly the same thing, but twice, because you have the same extract, well, different extract, but the same idea where you have an extract. You're given a question where you have to refer to a particular theme or a person in the extract, and then also in the novel as a whole, or in the text as a whole. And then you also get marked for your whole answer rather than part of it on the first bullet point and part of it on the second. It's not separated in that way. So you want to read the question. So in this question, it asks how Conan Doyle uses places to create a sense of mystery. You then read and annotate a little bit of meaning from it. If you feel quite comfortable to analyse, to highlight some quotes as you go along and think, oh yeah, that's a good one, I might possibly use that one. that's absolutely fine as well. So you might find that actually this section of your extract is covered in annotations. That's absolutely fine. Then you need to pick your 2 or 3 quotes. I would always pick 3, even if you don't get time to write about 3. Pick your 3 quotes, perhaps further annotate those quotes in the extract box, and then you need to choose 2 or 3 quotes from the text as a whole. So if it was about mystery in this extract, 2 other areas where there's mystery in the text, choose 2 or 3 quotes to back up your ideas, and then just get on with it. Just get on with analysing. So again, what they're looking for is your ability to analyse and pick methods, so techniques like similes and verbs and sentences and metaphors, and anything really that the writer has done on purpose. If you're explaining what the writer has done on purpose, that's what they're looking for, your appreciation. Context, in the time period, but also through the themes.